Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. And now it's all over the place. $8 million in cash, $8 million US. No way you can think of it as chicken change. But then it was tied up with NACO, the National Haulage Company, they have put out a statement saying that has nothing to do with them, don't know anything about it. It was in one of their vehicles. Sketchy stories about it, but I suppose the meat of the story is that $8 million US was intercepted by customs in the Murtala Muhammed International Airport yesterday. I think the idea is that it was already packaged and had names on it, probably names of who the recipients are, but the customs people were mum on that particular aspect. They tell us, as you know, that, well, investigations have continued. They've arrested the driver. I wonder how much he had to do with it. The driver and another bloke, reportedly a staff of NACO. So where are we exactly? Where did that money come from? What's it all about? We'll probably wrap this into our ongoing security series, which in the land. If this isn't a breach of security, I don't know what is, because $8 million cash, that could do a lot in terms of arms, in terms of ammunition, bullets, and all of that. But before we come back to studio, we have a package that we've been airing since yesterday. Here it is.
At first sight, these items in paper wraps could be mistaken for something else other than what they really are. Bundles of cash amounting to $8.6 million in brown paper wrappings. The Comptroller General of Customs says the money were not declared by the owner, who concealed it with the intention of smuggling it out of the country.
Acting on such credible information, the command operatives at about 1200 hours on 16 January 2020 intercepted illegal movements of foreign currency at the E-wing of the tarmac. The consignment packed in a coastal bus was loaded in 6 big backhoe bags. One suspect, the driver of the bus, Chimizie Okonko, was arrested and taken into custody with the intercepted consignment.
Showcasing more seizures, the Customs Authority also intercepted 9,504 kilograms of pangolin scales worth 10.2 billion naira at Ishari Estate in Lagos. Other contraband items were also impounded by operatives of the Federal Operations Unit, Zone A.
They have intelligence of the transit of pangolin, not only in Nigeria but other West African countries. So it is a problem for us, and I think we need to come together as a region to be able to address this issue once and for all. We have 4,070 kilometers of land border. We have unapproved routes, and our men cannot be everywhere. And because Nigerians are hell-bent on smuggling these things, they take every risk and every route, some through the creeks, some in the night, and they go through all the roads that are unapproved and find these things into this country.
In spite of the border drill and the closure of the land borders, the Nigeria Customs Service has continued to impound and intercept contraband such as this behind me. The pangolin scale is another case in point. The Nigeria Customs Service is insisting that the international law prohibits the importation or exportation of pangolin scales. To that extent, they say they will continue to arrest and impound these items wherever they are found. Ifunanya is a TVC News, Lagos.
Well, thank you very much, Ifunanya. So, there we have it. And a number of, dare I say, bonus items too. Because the big news is the $8 million in cash.
The other ones as well as important as them.
Indeed. And so I was just going to introduce you, Adeni Ikuno's researcher and public affairs analyst.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming on. And Abdul Rauf Ayodeji. Well, he's a financial and public affairs analyst. Again, Abdul Rauf, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
I dare say, your area, when we talk about the capital market and stock exchange, we usually, jam. And $8 million US would do a little bit on the capital market.
It's going to shake the market.
If any investor were to show up with that. Okay, but let's go back to this mystery $8 million.
Yes, please.
As I said, we've been talking about security in the past few days and started this week again. This, of course, there's the aspect of it that is security. Number one, customs has intercepted it, and as I was saying, some other important bonus items. But beyond their job, which they have done, you just think of the implications of $8 million US in the fight, the terrorism fight. We are doing the anti-terrorism fight. They are doing the terrorism fight. Those people that we don't know. But the customs boss says that investigations are ongoing to get to the root of it. It was in a NACO vehicle. NACO has put out a statement saying that they themselves are interested in cooperating with the authorities. They have nothing whatsoever to do with this, don't know anything, in spite of the fact that it was their vehicle and that the driver has been arrested and one other person allegedly. Give me what you think, Adini.
Well, I think it's important to look at things in connected manner, not in isolation. In 2018, $375,000 was taken from a certain Murtala Muhammed from Kano to Kaduna. In 2019, another $207,000 at the Kano airport. One of my concerns is not really accounting for after announcing that such monies were impounded because they were not declared. And when you can't give such explanations as can be verified or confirmed as true that you're conveying such amount of money from point A to point B, then it is suspicious. The same way they tell you that if in excess of 2 million enters individual accounts, they have to verify, and if it's in excess of 5 billion, in this case...
you're talking Naira, by the way.
Yeah, I'm talking Naira.
Yeah.
So I've decided to talk Naira because it means that there are certain limits set to certain amounts that an individual can actually take from one account to the other, especially within the 24-hour period. That said, we're talking about...
Well, apart from that, sir.
Yes, please.
$8 million as a chunk of change. The authorities have to know where that came from, if it was legit.
Well,
they have to know how it entered our borders,
more or less,
and then also have to know how and why and when it is leaving.
In the first place, they
if
said...
Central Bank is not going to be involved.
They said they found it at the E-wing. Obviously, you have sessions where they take haulage. You have sessions where they take baggage. You have sessions where people walk through. So it evidently tells you that perhaps the certain Chimeze that was driving the coastal bus in which this money was found was supposed to move, don't forget, they were found in sacks. Perhaps it was supposed to move people's goods from one point to the other, maybe to get them on the plane.
Backo sacks for Nigerians.
The Backo sacks for Nigerians.
We know what Backo sacks
are for. So I want to say that for everything you take, for instance, I've seen people take registered ammunition on the plane because you're not supposed to take arms. But if you are actually to carry those arms because you are approved to carry those arms, you declare and they take it to a process. I've seen that happen. You can actually take anything through any airport, so far it is legit and the reasons for it are properly documented. So for me, for it to have been impounded and time taken to count it, to verify that that money in Nigerian Naira is in excess of $1 trillion Naira, it tells you that there is more than meets the eyes. Now, not considering...
No, it's $8 million.
No. Let's not always domicile things in foreign currencies.
Well, no,
over $1 trillion Naira. So you understand our budget, that's in excess of 10 trillion. So that's well over a little over 10% of Nigeria's budget.
Excellent, and I agree with you. But
yes,
the point I'm making with the actual fine, which was not in Naira, was $8 million. Yes. And I was going to make the point that that is going to take more than 5 minutes to count.
Oh yes, it was actually
$8 million is 16, going to take more than...
So they took their time to count, to ascertain the entire amount, and some other things. But all
of which was done under video cameras.
Yes, of course.
I just wanted to bring that up. As you very valuably pointed out that, look, That's in excess. That's
of 10% of our budget,
of our budget for this year.
Even making it more concrete still, did you say it is close or a little more than $1 trillion?
Yes, it's over $1 trillion.
And people don't know what $1 trillion is anymore.
Well,
How many zeros? How many zeros follow the one?
It's about
9 zeros.
Yes, 9 zeros.
You know, that is 1,000 billion.
Yes.
You know? Okay. Okay. So, Abdul Rauf, that kind of cash, it has security implications. Is the first thing that came to my mind, that this, even if it is business self, it's just very worrisome that that is money that could do a lot of damage, much as it could do a lot of good. But the shady way, if $8 million is going to do a lot of good, it probably will be routed through the regular quarters.
That's true. Regular quarters being the banking institutions. But that somebody tried to route that kind of money, and by the way, the customs say, so far no bank or individual has come forward to say that, wait, that's my goal, that's my load. What does that say to you?
I think it just boiled down to when we started the BVN registration, people thought it's going to be a joke. But what has been unmasking has shown us that when you run a very transparent system, over time, some of the linkages will start showing up. And that's an evidence we have seen at the airports. And not, there was a time we were here.
You think this might be directly related to the gates that BVN has imposed?
Yeah.
Since you can't go through those gates that BVN has directed.
One of it. When we came here to talk about economic summit.
BVN, by the way, bank verification number.
For every individual.
For anybody who is watching this from abroad.
Exactly. And when we came here to talk about economic summit, we said a lot are in the informal sectors. And that's an evidence. We have a lot of cash stuck in informal sectors, which are illegal money.
The place is leaking like a basket. The borders are closed. Our viewers,
all over the world.
Our viewers observed yesterday in calling in on this security thing that you say you close one regular official borders. 20 unofficial ones are wide open.
That's it.
BVN has erected its gate. Well, there are also backhoe super sacks and narco vehicles, unfortunately.
On that side. So I think it's high time the government looks at the informal sectors and create regulations and create surveillance for us to have it properly structured. There's nowhere in the world that you're going to drive economy that the informal sector will be left to be doing things in their own way. Look at what happened in Lagos now. Even with upon trying to put a formality into Okada, we see that it's not really controllable. It's not something controllable. So I think it's high time
look at the Okada. You're right. As soon as we try to put order into that sector, you saw the fire at Ujora.
Exactly.
Because we allowed it to get to
that level. So all the informal sectors, whether in the financial sector, non-financial sector, government need to put structures into them.
In the words of a popular song, at any problem.
BENUE.
We have problem.
We have got it. We have got it.
Because as things...
It's been over the years.
And by the way, the producers have been out with the calculators and they say actually how many million? The $8 million.
$8 million.
Is in the region of 3-point-something billion.
Billion, okay.
Oh, 3-point-something billion. Never reached trillion.
Okay, 3-point-something billion.
Billion,
3.4 million, 3.4
maybe 3
billion.
billion and 96 something. Yeah. So, there's something going on, much as the authorities are trying, and this is, when I say they're trying, these are what have been announced as policies, that we've done this, we've done that, we've partially closed the borders. It's not having any effect.
It's not going to have any effect.
From what we are hearing.
Yeah, it's not going to
BVN has its effect, and thank God for BVN, perhaps, because my guess, my speculation is that it is because BVN has erected the gates that it has erected, that this improbable scheme has been floated.
Let me say this. Banks are very complicit in every money laundering activity that takes place in this country. Initially, I was thinking in 8 billion to 1 trillion. I'm happy that...
Wait a minute. Yes. When we use these terminologies, money laundering and what was discovered yesterday, they're two different things.
No. Money laundering primarily deals with when you do not take whatever sum belonging to you through the appropriate financial channels. That's money laundering.
That's it.
Be it found at the seaport, found anywhere, whatever you have as money
Okay.
You can launder 10 million naira because it wasn't properly declared. So that established.
Yeah, okay. So laundering is all about washing clean. So this is, just think of that analogy.
Yes.
You pretend, you process it in such a way that it comes out of the machine and it's not clean. But if the authorities are watching you, they will know when you put it in the quote-unquote washing machine.
So obviously it's not clean. That's why it's called that way, especially when you explain it. Now, Yori, I have to say that in Delta State, especially the NDDC, one of the reasons I have to connect it to the complicity of banks in many of the illicit financial deals. $70 million was kept in NDDC accounts for over 16 years. And until the NDDC minister that are talking about, Godswill Akpabio, said we have to audit the accounts, the banks never came out to say they had $70 million in their accounts. And 2 weeks before the declaration of that amount in that bank's coffers, NDDC students on scholarship abroad said some of them had lost their studentship and many problems. They're looking for ways to survive. That is a region. And I'm talking about the complicity of banks. So, for instance, perhaps the banks have found out that it has become very challenging for them in this era of those fishing them out or actually smoking them out of their holes. That's the reason they said, Oga, this over 3 billion naira. And let's say this, that's in excess of 30% of the nation's 2020 budget.
Yeah.
Because if the budget is over 10 billion and you have that amount, just check it out yourself.
I know this is this story could easily be made salacious, but it is physical. We saw it there.
It's
Never mind salacious. But I think one has to be careful when talking about banks being complicit.
This is not the first time. Let us not
know.
quote it. Banks have taken my money and not
Wait. I hear what you're saying.
Please.
I just want to put it in context.
There's some sanity there.
I want to put it in context.
Some sanity in the banking sector.
We just have to be careful to say that if you're going to say something like that, then let it be that I think that. Don't make it as a statement.
It's the minister that mentioned it. It's not my statement.
When you say a bank didn't come up and say, "Oh, I got $70 million in my coffers," that's not the business of banks. They don't go around telling you that
disclosure. There's disclosure.
Yeah, so I just want us to put this in
the right perspective.
I understand. It could be salacious if we make it salacious. But we have facts that are, if you want, as close to salacious as necessary. So we don't need to add salt and pepper again.
We're even running banking a bit now. We've not been running banking before. What we've been doing is just they are merchant for traders.
But it's hard to imagine that banks wouldn't have been involved, because it looks like the cash that we're talking about, $8 million US, became like cargo. I doubt that any bank would have seen it. I don't know. This is why financial experts, and importantly, the customs boss has said that we are investigating how this happened. And by the way, I don't know, was customs so very efficient that it actually has intercepted, as we are now saying? Is that what happened? Or was there a whistleblower?
There must be a whistleblower.
Is there a whistleblower? And why was there a whistleblower? Was it that it didn't go around?
Maybe it didn't go around.
I don't know. This is speculation. And as the person cautioning against being salacious.
Exactly. When a whistleblower knows that he or she will get 2.1% of what was discovered, you blow the whistle sound and loud.
Does that one affect you? I think the whistle. Does whistleblowing cover all these kind of cases in Nigeria, or just corruption? Illicit funds.
This is corrupt proceed. It can't be accounted for. Come on.
Wait.
If it is found out,
let us talk. I know what. Why are you saying this is illicit fund?
If it cannot be accounted for.
The man said that they are investigating, one step before the other. The time will come when we'll be able to say what you wanted to say. But for now, we cannot go beyond what the man has said. We are investigating this.
That's true.
And we shall come back and report.
Give us a report.
Thank you very much. But you see, Adeni has jumped. He has jumped after.
But my own concern is that they have done a lot of investigation in the past with interception like this. And we never have full report. I'm hoping that with this volume of money, we'll be able to have a full report so that we can all learn lessons from it.
When you say we've heard of money before, are you referring to the Ikoyi apartments?
Ikoyi apartment money, the Kadunans ones that you mentioned, the Kanu's ones,
Madueke's alleged
exactly.
apartments.
Where did they end up? Putting them? Where do they inject them to? We must know the end of all these things so that if there is need, even for a surge in government funding, we will know.
You know, we were saying yesterday, and I don't know if there's any connection between this and that, but we were saying, I think viewers were calling in, and as you know, we often exchange ideas, and because the viewers out there, they actually are like if there are two of you here, they stand as one block for the third person.
Exactly.
And they're saying, how do they get funds? That is the terrorists, the robbers, all the people in the northwest, northeast. How do they get funds for their supplies, their vehicles, their ammunition? Nobody knows that. Well, now the customs come along and say,
that's illicit.
Look at this. So people can begin to speculate, well, pending when they come back with
let me say this, because it's in the news. Perhaps, maybe the reason I sound as though I've been concluding is because in research, for instance, when there is recurrence, it is then established. For instance, health patterns, attitudinal patterns, psychological dispositions, one-off are often not considered. But when it becomes consistent, it is documented as the likelihood of an individual or a group of people's actions or reactions. Why have I said this? I've said it simply because in 2014-2015, the international community said that within the rank and file of the military, there are people conniving with terrorists. Don't forget that mutinous military officers under the Jonathan administration also alluded to the fact that certain persons give information to those who are killing their comrades, as it were. Don't also forget that in 2012 in South Korea, the president of this country, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, said he's got people who are aligning with terrorists to make a mess of the country. Yori, these are not my words. The world is listening and viewing at the same time here. And I'm not saying this. These are not my productions. These are the verbal documentations of the former #1 citizen of the country.
Yes.
I go again to another.
Yes.
No, I'm just.
I hear you.
Yori,
I
could
hear
you just
you.
allow me?
Well, you see, you're making these statements and they're sounding good, and I got to put some perspective on them.
Yes, I'm just saying. They're not my words. They're not my words.
They are not. But there's a sense in which they are. I don't want to defend any. I just want us to be strictly accurate. Former President Jonathan, you know, reportedly said in a moment of exasperation, I wouldn't be surprised.
In South Korea.
Wait a minute. No. At a meeting that I wouldn't be surprised if there were not Boko Haram among my cabinet.
My cabinet.
Now,
recently,
it has been that statement has been taken and has been put into fact, and the context. So I'm not. I just wanted to put it. It's not as if Jonathan called a press conference and said, I just want you to know. I just want you to know that there are Boko Haram members in my cabinet. That's not the way it was put. I'm just trying to put perspective.
Good. One more thing. In this same country, in this same country, they found correspondence on the phone of a certain lawmaker. It's in the news. I did not produce that, Yori. I didn't produce it. I'm saying that we're talking about funding for them. At times, some of the things we find, has been the thriving of those persons.
Yes.
We find out that these monies perhaps are the ones used to empower those people that are doing damage to our corporate existence.
Thank you, especially for the word perhaps in there. I'm so happy that thank you very much. We shall continue. We'll try and be as accurate by what we know as much as possible. I think we should just do
this analysis in context.
Let me quickly bring EHIS in MAGODO on. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Ayore.
EHIS, did you hear me? Good morning, sir.
I can hear you. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Ayore. I can hear you clearly.
Okay, go ahead. Good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Yes, good morning. And good morning to your guest.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Yes, Mr. Ayore, to start with, the money in question, I think is about 3.something billion, not a trillion plus.
We have said that. We have corrected away from 1 trillion.
Yes. At the same time, sir, there are a lot of issues we need to look at. You cited some examples now. How do terrorists get their funding? These are some of the issues we'll be looking at. That is why you see terrorism in Nigeria is thriving and the killings are increasing by the day. Aside this kind of funds you see, have you ever asked the question? You know, as we speak today in Ayore, we have Nigerians, young Nigerians, who are over 500 million naira rich, driving flashy cars. They have no job in the name of Yahoo internet fraud and all. Have you asked questions? How do these guys bring in their money? How do their money come in? How do they get their money? From which source? who helped them to bring in this money, and where those monies end up. So these are how terrorism continues to fester, and a lot of things are going wrong by the day. We are just having a lot of things unchecked. Just like your guest said, I hope and pray that at the end of the day, the custom will be able to tell us the source of this money and who owns this money. Exactly. Not just arresting driver. Yes. Somebody owns this money, and somebody wanted this money to get to somewhere. Sure. And that person is not a ghost. And I just hope and pray at the end of the day, Nigerians will know where this money is coming from, the owners of this money, and where this money is about to end up.
Indeed.
It's very important.
Thank you very much, EHIS, for calling in. And there's a lot, Abdul Rauf, that they will be telling us, as they have promised, because it is said that there were brown envelope components to the whole thing with certain names on them. Exactly. Understandably, they are not about to release those names yet. Yes. But since they have told us that they will come back to us following the conclusion of the investigations, or at least, advanced progress in it, we will come to know. Again, just like EHIS has called in, we are speculating coming from where do they get their money from? Because oftentimes we see that they have brand new, what is this pickup truck, this Toyota pickup truck, Hilux. We see that these are not. So what's going on? Where do they get it from? How can they continue to be, as soon as we say that we have them under control, they will show that not so.
It's still boiled down to what I've established. The informal sectors, there are a lot of activity. See what happened recently is in US, in UK. There's this guy that have been using the internet to play around with the capital market in US.
Let me go on a commercial break. I beg your pardon for interrupting you. We'll be right back. Stay with us, please. Okay, so you can see that we continue the conversation while we were away, but we went away with Abdul Rauf, speaking at the time.
Yeah, because the AE that called was talking about how money gets into the systems and
and he was also talking about the so-called romance fraud. That's not just Nigeria, but
it's everywhere. So, and I'm trying to give an example of this chap. The guy was underage when he started using internet to play with the stock market in US. And he was making a lot of money. And it runs into billions, in terms of dollars and also. The guy is of age now. They took him to court. But when they did the analysis, and that's one thing about this internet fraud, internet money and also, the legislations there is still loose. Just to let the guy that was asking the questions about how they get their money in and also. There's still so much. It's just that, like I said, the government must take informal sector serious. There's no way we can drive this economy if the informal sectors are left all alone doing their thing their way. Even the people selling the market woman, all of them. We need to put regulation into it. And that will allow us to do a lot of things.
When you talk about the informal sector, and let's go there for a second, just for a second. We're talking about a lot of market people, market women.
Exactly.
We know that in Okeani, people, it's mind-boggling the amount of money at their disposal.
No, that's exactly
in sacks.
That's exactly where I'm going. That's where I'm going.
For some reason, they're not too cool with going to the banks with the money. They deal in cash.
I want to say this. Many people don't understand that the budget that the government, declares for the year for Nigeria is very infinitesimal compared to what the private sector operators trade with or do business with.
Heavy.
Okeani alone can give you 20 billion naira a day.
Okeani is a popular market in Lagos State, southwest of the country, for those who are watching out of Nigeria.
And that's the reason why the political class will never let them go.
I've not talked about Onitsha. I've been there. I've not talked about Ariaria market. These are markets where
even Alaba itself,
where business are done in billions every day. So
and in cash.
In cash. So the document you have called the budget declared by government every year is a policy document that enables to stabilize all of the various components of the economy.
Exactly.
So it means that government must even take more seriously than its own institutions or agencies operations within the private sector. That is why in developed economies, provisions are made, care is given, watchers are really taken. For instance, let's look at Facebook. Facebook in recent times, in the past 5-6 years, have faced immensity of controls because of the impact it has, apart from its net worth. So I'm saying here that these issues, therefore, have become very important and as what indications for the government to start taking the private sector very seriously. And this is the same private sector that will borrow on 2-3 digits interest rates. This is the same private sectors that will have to look for every way to fund their businesses and survive. This is the same private sector that will be taxed and will be looking for ways to survive. The government must begin to look at the private sector so that we won't have continuous problems in that regard.
When Adini says the government must begin to look at it, gives the impression that government has not been doing that. Yet that is not the case. That is far from the case. I just, as I said, we owe the duty from this side of the conversation to put these things in the proper perspective.
But they've left a lot
to linger.
Okay, thank you, sir. If you now say but, because
they are
doing
the
impression that government doesn't know anything about the private, about the informal sector.
Single account. If not for all those policies, all these things won't be coming out because people transfer funds anyhow. It's not possible.
Because to back Adini up, the government, complains that the tax net, too many people are dropping through the holes in the trap necks.
You could imagine a religion group will start a building within 3 months. It's finished.
We have a call coming in from the UK. Good morning, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah, just want to appreciate you guys for the good job you're doing.
Okay, Prince. Thank you.
Thank you, Prince.
Thank you very much.
In fact, it's one of these programs that no one want to miss. More grease to your elbows.
Thank you, sir.
You see, the problem we have in Nigeria is in Nigeria. And it's a high time that we should unmask every hidden thing. It's a high time the government should come out openly to be honest to his people. $8 million have been intercepted right there at the airport. No name have been mentioned. There is a program here called UK Border Control.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
You will see it live and direct. Everybody sees it. Whoever that owns that money will be standing there. The custom will expose that person before everyone. Where that money is coming from, where that money is going to. That money is owned by somebody. That money is going to be delivered to somebody. Now we had it, that money is intercepted. We don't know whether it's going out or it's coming in. And we have had such cases right there at the airport previously, and the case ends that way. We have just had that, but the end of it is the under question. Now, the custom need to tell us who owns that money and where that money is going to. That's where the intelligence comes in, because this is how the terrorists are being funded. And again, let also the government tell us this money that have been gotten from someone,
in the past,
what this money will be used for. Let this money be taxed for something. If it has foundation, if it is for cancer, let we see a structure where this money will end. Because at the end of the day, this money will go back into the pocket of the people in the government.
God forbid.
And not be the
I hear you. I hear you, Prince. Thank you.
Please let the government be honest to us.
Thank you.
We are sick and tired of story every day.
Okay, Prince, thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate your call. Thank you very much for calling in, Prince. Again, we need to quickly go back to the point that the customs boss has said that we're investigating this and will report on our findings.
I will appeal to press. I think these high times they put a search on this kind of money anytime. You continue to trouble them. Like we heard in the last time, there are some people that persistently continue to trouble them.
Yeah.
Because the kind of system we have are systems that immediately they see that there's less pressure, they collapse, and they know Nigerians.
They just fold,
and Nigerians, being what we have, is only when thing is hot that will react.
Yeah.
So far it's going down gradually.
You know, because that
I think there should be a search
that Ikoyi apartment raid and all the monies that were got from there. People are observing. I think we've talked about it this morning that we don't know exactly what has happened. That is not to say that anything untoward has happened, but we don't know.
The same thing with
people
the judge,
are not finishing the
judge that
to
was
the satisfaction.
That was reactive. The judge that was, he has to be reactivated back.
Yes, but I think Adeni wanted to make a point.
I wanted to say that from the time of Abdulsalami Abubakar, before the midwife was held silly back to democracy in the Fourth Republic, before he left office, some hundreds of millions of dollars were recovered from the Abacha stolen funds.
Were they?
I remember very clearly what was announced then.
Oh, by the way, talking about Abacha looted funds, I just saw something.
$321 million
is coming in from the US.
Yes, yes.
That they'll be returning. I just remember
that.
But
don't forget that the Switzerland had released in excess of 300 million before the last tenure ended, and they said they have to distribute it among the poorest of the poor.
Exactly.
But there's something I want to say. That's it. I want to say that before Abdulsalami Abubakar left, some monies were released from the UK, part of the stolen funds of the Abacha loot. Up until this, they said it will be domiciled in a special account at the central bank. Abdulsalami Abubakar left office. I, Adeni, and perhaps you and many others are yet to hear what has happened to the money that's in excess of 20 years as we speak. I'm saying that this administration...
But more recently, you know that they said those monies will be, earmarked for infrastructural
development.
That
is what we call airy platitudes. You don't...
Okay. We'll come back and you elaborate on it. Yes, I have no intention to guide you. But thank you for holding on, Mr. Yakub. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Shigeri. And good morning to your guest.
Morning,
I heard you say, God forbid, when the last
that it will end up back in government pockets.
See, God already created us. He has already given us knowledge, and then it's left for us to use the knowledge that God deposits in every human being. See, the man says it all. If this money was not known to the Nigerian people, that this money belongs to a so person, and then we have caught this so person, we have fined him in the court of law. Exactly. And then we send him to where he's supposed to belong to. The word that the last caller used is going to come to pass. Because, let me tell you, this is not the first money. Everybody knows that. This is not the first money that customs have already been intercepted everywhere. Even Kaduna Airport everywhere. Apart from the money, I want to ask you, as a journalist, as a host of this program that we all watch every day, because I know you have some information we don't have. Meanwhile, you can be able to do justice to this question I'm about to ask. My question to you this one is this. Last time the custom intercept weapon in Apapa Road, up to today, the ordinary citizens in this country, we don't know who import this weapon to this country. And then custom tell us that they intercept this weapon. They show us in TVC, everybody watching. The question is, do you know the ending of that story? And then we are crying about insecurity in this country. And then we are always keeping do our thing, secret. Why is it like that? The people import weapons, they are not known to Nigeria. We don't know where this weapon coming from. If they try them, where are they? Who gives the judgment? That is the question. This money is going to go in the digital pocket. If we don't know who import this one, where the money is going to, what the money made for? If we need to change in this country. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yakub. I saw you nodding your head in agreement to most of what was being said.
No, what I'm only saying is this. I know I've said it. It's a recommendation to the press. You are the one that have our voice. You are the one that could coordinate it very well. It's that time, documentary of anytime we have these things, we need documentary of it from the beginning to the end.
But the pertinent issue that Yakub brought up is that, and you had said it earlier, and I think even Adeni had alluded to it, is that it's all right for the customs boss to come and tell us what he has
need
said.
The details.
But we don't know the end of these cases.
Yori, I would like
that's why I'm
to
putting
speak
that
to that
searchlight on the
issue.
press.
Perhaps maybe
I need a documentary of every fund,
we don't know
any
the end of these
interception, and let's get
so
it.
It's like
Yori,
what the public seems to be saying is that government needs to pay attention to transparency, and not just that they know that they are being transparent, but they have to be seen to be transparent. The guy from the UK, Prince, spoke about their border program in the UK.
It's documentary.
I know the program. It is true. There is
That's
very
the kind of
little
I
to
want
hide.
TVC to come up with.
They let it go. Not that with government's approval.
All right.
Now we are told, and I would hand it to government that,
I need TVC to come with such program.
I would hand it to the customs people that, and
police
also do that kind of thing. They are not at liberty yet to release. We have to bear these things in mind. We know it. They might not want to hurry, but they have told us that there are names. So it means we can ask him later on.
Come back and tell us there are no names.
Yes, we can ask him later on. So what about those names? So there's a sense in which they will meet you halfway. Maybe this is going to be different. But the voice of the people seem to be yearning. You need to persuade us that you are being transparent.
Yori, every year, the proceeds of illicit or the particular amount laundered every year is in excess of $2 trillion. Nigeria has a substantial percentage of that amount calculated into what moves around the world called laundered money. Having said that, when the incidents of the ammunition were uncovered by the same Ahmed Ali, they told us it was an importer from Kano. These are not my words. Reported by Nigerian media. Up until this moment, nothing has happened.
It hasn't. That matter hasn't been resolved. Before you proceed, sir,
okay,
Chidi in Kaduna is waiting to join the program. Good morning, Chidi.
Good morning, Uncle Yori and the crew.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Chidi.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the discussion that is ongoing at present with your famous program is elucidating enough for Nigerians to know how our common resources is being frittered away by our politicians. Now, the Abacha loot that over 20 years that is yet to be fully recovered, I want Nigerians to know, and this is a very serious eye-opener, for Nigerians to know that this was the same way the so-called Abacha loot took. And up to now, we are yet to recover the whole money from the countries where they are stashed. And so many more have been done without Nigerians knowing. So I would expect the law enforcement agencies and those who are invested with the powers of investigating this issue to do the needful and let Nigerians know actually where this money was coming from and where it is going to. Thank you, and God bless you, Uncle Yeri.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Chidi from Kaduna.
Now, what I want to say, in addition to what I said, was in 2018, I mentioned when I opened that $375,000 was actually found as not declared. We've not heard the last of that case. Kaduna. In Kano last year, $207,000 US. The listeners or the viewers can go and cross-check what I've said here to verify what I've just mentioned. Talking about the program the guy mentioned, UK Border Patrol, I've seen Australian Border Patrol, something similar. A woman from Singapore was coming into Australia. She didn't declare the amount she's got. She's got some Australian currencies with her. When she got in, she brought them in. The customs discovered that amount and she was asked to pay the charges for bringing such cash. She brought it in, perhaps she didn't know. I'm saying here, Yori, that money came into this place. They should not give us half reports. That money came from somewhere to this place. It was only intercepted when it got here. I'm saying, from the place that money was coming from, could they just give us certain levels of information regarding it? Sincerely, Nigeria has suffered great blows before the international community in terms of transparency, in terms of media, and the reasons that are aggregated are things like this.
I almost can assure you,
yes, please.
And the word almost is important, I almost can assure you that the government, so-called, is actually listening to this program.
Yes, that's why we're here to also help them.
And so they must be hearing that perhaps people are not impressed with the level of transparency.
That is it.
It's one thing for them to be transparent, but they need to know that people expect that they must also be seen to be transparent.
In fact,
you must report back to them.
The kind of
see how
incidents
matters
of the
are
ammunition.
resolved. And if not, that's when people begin to suspect that, well, this ground no level. If it's some people, you go so far. If it's other instances or other areas or other people's, mum's the word, you keep quiet. Super in VI, thank you very much for holding on. Good morning, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Yori. Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
thank you.
Super.
And I appreciate my two guests this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Uncle Yori, I absolutely agree with Yakub. We will not see anything at the end of the day. It will die under the carpet. Because you know why? Because the money belongs to the carcass. It belongs to the ruling people. If this money, look, okay, it's not a laughing matter.
Super. I'm laughing because how can you say that the money belongs to the ruling people? How can you say that?
They know themselves. They know themselves.
And we know them. And we know them.
Super. The man said he's going to investigate this money and come back to us. He said it. He said it.
If this money belongs to others, by now you will know, you will be seeing names. But as far as the money belongs to them, you will never see anything.
Okay.
And that's how it will die, Uncle Yori.
Okay, but you're speaking for yourself, Super. You know, you're speaking for yourself.
I'm speaking for general Nigerians.
Super, speaking for yourself.
We mustn't allow it to die. It's not going to die that way.
This is not the first time.
If government is listening, government must know. If government, although they will say who is government, are we not all government? If government is listening, they must know that people are beginning to, be unimpressed with what you are pointing out. Because if things are the way they need to be, people have cited border control program.
Yes.
Let us know to show.
This money is being wrapped and being taken in the government vehicle, NACO, and a government driver, NACO.
But you have heard it said, NACO said, nothing concerns us. And not only that,
what did they say? What do you want them to say?
We are going to cooperate with the authorities to get to the bottom of this.
What do you want them to say?
Okay.
That's the only thing they will put up.
All right.
But they know themselves.
All right.
You watch.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in.
I was saying that I think it is unacceptable for government to say they know nothing about it. That simply means those employed.
The government didn't say that. NACO.
Excuse me.
NACO said that.
NACO pays taxes to government.
Oh, I didn't mean.
Let's put it this way.
NACO said what you are saying, government.
Let me go to NACO.
Yeah.
For NACO to have actually dissociated from this,
yes,
it is utterly irresponsible because there are people along the channels that supervise, who takes the key for vehicles, somebody who supervises the consignment taken from point A to point B. I think they should not say that because they either didn't do their job or allow people to have outsmarted them and they're in this mess.
I hear you, sir. But you see, I don't know this. I hope you won't find this tedious. When NACO as an organization speaks, it won't be drivers that will be speaking for NACO. It won't be office workers that will be speaking for NACO.
All right.
There will be a management. There will be a head there. So when NACO says what it says, I will agree with you. If this matter were a court case, the fact that you don't know anything about it doesn't mean that you are not culpable.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I have come to the legal point.
But that's not the way you started out. You started out from saying government.
Yori, please. Let's understand. Okay, listen.
We must follow a certain.
Yori, let me allude to a point here.
Go on.
There are Nigerians out there watching me that are far intelligent than I am, and I cannot try to outsmart people. Erudites watching us now, I don't want to sound stupid. Because it's important
You're
not to.
You're not sounding stupid.
I'm saying here that there are smarter and more intelligent people watching us. Let me try to do the best I could so that we can help Nigeria, our home, our beloved country, become better.
But you can't be saying that.
Let me say this.
You can't be saying that government has said when NACO said.
Okay, let me put it again to you.
It's an agency.
Let us look at Abdurrashid Maina that got promoted as a fugitive.
That's another subject matter.
Allow me land on my allusion. And you hear the Minister of Interior say, they know nothing.
about an Abdul Rashid Mena getting promoted while a fugitive. I've alluded to that to say that there are certain statements you do not make because it robs you in further. Let us try and help our nation become better by speaking the truth as it is. I'm sorry.
Everything boils down on social justice.
I'm just trying to say this. I'm not here to cause confusion. I'm just here to say, let us help Nigeria become a better place for all of us to live, to thrive. That's the country we can leave to our children. It's important for us.
Well, okay. Good morning, Samuel in BENUE State. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Please go on.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Morning. Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Wow, I really enjoy this program, and it's doing a lot of good telling Nigerians what's going on and what's happening.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to thank you all for your contributions and everything. But I feel like even though we are pointing out the things that the government is not doing, we are failing to see that at least they are doing something.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was a whole government orchestrated thing, nobody would have even found it in the first place. But at least it was made public, so we should appreciate them for that. And we should tell them
that's a step.
That's true.
Give them. So, and earlier in the show, I heard when they were saying the $8.6 million is about 20% of the Nigeria's budget, but that's not exactly true.
No, we can be excitable from time to time. You know, human waiting call.
Yeah, so $8.6 million is about just 0.03% of the budget. And so that people don't get the wrong notion from
thank you very, very much. And thank you very much for calling in. Appreciate your call. And that's what we've been striving to say, to sort of put things, because what has happened is big. It is big. But then
I think
we can't get excitable about it.
For me,
we've run out of time. So very briefly,
for me, we will still give it to this government at this moment.
Thank you.
Because in the sense that over the years, this is not, a lot are unknown. We're getting to know a lot in the recent times.
But that they put this out there, there's a sense in which you can commend them for
it.
But it is not enough.
But
is what you are saying.
The solution to it
is not enough.
The solution to it is boiled down on who is managing what.
Okay.
In every borders we have in this country, in every sectors where we have people, who calibers of people that are managing that place, who are they?
Yeah, exactly.
People that are questionable, people that cannot recourse to personal justice.
I get the impression that we say government.
It's not. It's
government has the ability to get to the bottom of this like a hot knife through butter.
So the custom guy will take them for that mindset.
Whether they want to now do so and share with us is probably what we're talking about. I understand that we got to go.
Yeah, the responsibility basically of government is to ensure that the oath it actually swore to is not shifted away from, which is to deliver on their terms of reference and make Nigerians believe that that trust fabric that it has handed to them for the period of time they're in office is not rendered.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Adeni Ikuno and Mr. Abdul Rauf Ayodeji. Gentlemen, I appreciate your perspective.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Fulani. Bye-bye for now.